Hey guys, it's Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome the super freaking Lasernut. Huge thanks to Eliminator RC here in Canada for getting me this so quickly. I basically, guys, have been kind of snoozing on this buggy when it first got released. You know, I was really pumped for it. I always loved the look of the 110 scale Lasernut. I enjoyed when I had mine. And when this came out, I was pumped. When I realized that it was basically a 1/7 scale kind of truggy with a large cage and bigger tires on it, I was like, maybe I don't want this. I've been kind of just, watching a few videos here and there. When I saw that Vitavon had been releasing some upgrades for it, bulkhead, steering knuckle, C-hubs, all that kind of stuff, I thought, okay, some of the issues that this thing could have, they've fixed. So it made me kind of even more interested in getting it. So again, I reached out to Eliminator. They had one in stock. And well, obviously, guys, I picked it up. Now, getting this thing out of the box is not going to be very grateful, so let's just do it the magic way. There it is, guys, the Losi Super Lasernut. My first reaction when I saw it in the box was, oh man, this thing looks cool. You look in, you see the roof, it's huge. And then once I took it out of the box, so once I removed the cardboard and I lifted it out, my second thought was, oh, this definitely does not have the weight. So if you're thinking 1/6 scale, if you're thinking, the larger RCs like an Outcast, Creighton 8S, even something like the Losi DBXLE, which I understand that's more of a 5th scale, you are thinking that this thing is going to weigh more, and it doesn't. And that is a huge advantage for the fact that this thing is running a 2000 kV system. It's running the same system that will come in your Big Rock, your Creighton 6S, all those. So I'm kind of pumped, guys, that again, it does, before I forget, this thing does weigh about 4 pounds more though than a Big Rock 6S. So it does have some weight to it, but it's not crazy.
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Sometimes I feel like all is lost, but I know it's not true. I wanna put up all my walls cause I'm not in the mood, but then I cut myself off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient.
All right, guys, I went ahead and mounted the Super Lasernut up on the stand just so that while I was talking, I could kind of spin it around a little bit and just check it out from different angles, show you guys different angles as well instead of just the one shot. And the one thing that I just can't get over is how good this looks. Right now, guys, just based on appearance, so just based on looks, getting it out of the box, this thing is absolutely killer. I like how with the 1/6 scale Lasernut, they kind of did it a little bit more scale. I always noticed that when I would watch videos, especially the Losi ones of the 1/10 scale Lasernut, that, and don't get me wrong, guys, that thing looks awesome and was an amazing buggy, but that it wasn't as much of a replica of the 1:1. The 1:1, just seemed to be kind of fatter in the cage area, like where the people are and stuff like that, where the drivers sit. It just seems more bulgy. And with the 1/10 scale Lasernut, it wasn't like that. This, they definitely went for. And I mean, if you watch back now, again, any video, I don't have my 1/10 scale Lasernut anymore, so I can't show you, but you watch any of the videos, and when you see these two sitting beside each other, even though this is bigger, it's also just more, it's bulging out here type thing. It's more bigger, and it's just, I don't know the best way to say it, but if you watch any of the videos or you see any pictures of these things sitting beside each other, you'll know exactly what I mean. And on the topic of the 1/10 scale Lasernut and the rear tire. So every video that I've watched, and I pretty much, guys, pretty sure I've watched them all, everybody comments about the fact that you've got to remove the rear tire to hinge the body up. And it seems to be a big deal to spin this wing nut off. However, if you look at the profile, the side profile of the Super Lasernut, and unfortunately, guys, if I had a 1/10, I would put it on top if I still had mine. But what I think they did was the 1/10 scale Lasernut, that rear tire really hung off the back of the buggy. And by doing that, obviously, if you can push this tire back, if you let it hang off back a little bit more, you kind of have clearance here for the body to pivot up. And I don't think they wanted to do that with the Super Lasernut. So you kind of can see the tire just seems to sit a little bit more forward compared to the 1/10 scale. And you know what, guys, I'm going to be honest. When I first got the buggy out of the box and I was kind of just checking it out first before I hit record again, I did take the tire on, off a couple of times. And yeah, it's a teeny tiny bit annoying, but that was only because of what I was doing. I wanted to look at something and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the body back down, put the tire back on, and start recording, start doing the video. But then I was like, oh, there's something else I wanted to check. So then I had to spin the wing nut off again. So yeah, if you're doing that back to back, that's a bit of a pain, but I think now, guys, the next time I take it off, I'm gonna be installing batteries. Well, no, next time I'll be taking it off will be for you guys. The second, third time, yeah, we'll be putting batteries in and getting this thing out and giving it a run. The tires themselves, the neat thing about these tires, and we're going to kind of jump ahead here and talk about the servo as well. The servo is a 905, which is 555 ounces of torque. And these tires, guys, are not much bigger. They're actually, I don't even know if they're taller. They're skinnier than a lot of other just normal 17 millimeter tires. So here I have my Method RC Terraform 17 millimeter. And I don't know how well this is coming across, guys, on camera, but they're basically almost the same height, but skinnier. Or sorry, wider. The stock tires are skinnier. So these probably weigh even more, but we have 555 ounces of torque, I think at 7.2, to turn these things, which I think is going to be awesome, because then any other tire that you put on it, you're probably going to get away with the stock tire. Now you guys can't see it, but I've got one of the aluminum Spectrum servos. I think it's 1300 or 1400 ounces of torque sitting up there, as well as, guys, these bad boys from AGF RC as well. And I picked these up for something that I still haven't started yet. I still haven't actually bought what I bought those for, so I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. But I was thinking that I would be able to throw that Spectrum servo in here. But right now, without guys driving it, I think that 905, that 555 ounces of torque is going to be plenty for these things. And even when I do decide to put a different set of tires on, I still think it's going to be fine. And I'm going to have a hard time, guys, by changing out the tires, because these rims look awesome. The wheel nut itself, guys, looks awesome. And I don't think I'm going to want to mess with this color. So in time will tell. You guys can't see it right now either. Over there, I have a few different set of tires, and one of them is off of the SCX6. And that is something, I mean, I'll show you guys maybe in a later video, but that's also really, really cool. It will require a little bit of work to make those fit or to install, but the actual fitment, guys, like clearance and all that stuff, you're not going to have a problem with. But what I'm going to do now, guys, is get the rear tire off. All right, guys, now that we've got the body up, you can see what's going on. Now, when I first started looking at pictures and videos, I thought it looked really, really plain. Now that I see it in front of me, it still looks really, really plain. However, it is clean, and there's a lot of room for debris and stuff to pretty much flow right out. So as rocks and dirt are coming in, it's so open that hopefully things will just kind of find their way to whoosh out of it and not get in and not dig into a bunch of areas. You've got the Firma 150 version 2 ESC, which is a great ESC, guys. BEC is 7.4. Definitely a nice, I always kind of noticed an increase from this over the version 1 Firma 150. So with the 2000 kV motor running the 12-tooth pinion, I think it's going to be good. I really, like I mentioned, guys, at the beginning of the video, I was sort of kind of weary when I saw that they were building a 1/6 scale Lasernut, but running 1/8 scale electronics. However, I think maybe with going up 1 or 2 teeth on the pinion, we obviously, guys, have lots of room for a fan up here. We should be able to do something with that. Now, on that note, I'll show you guys quickly. I did pick up this guy. So I've got a Mamba X8S, Mama Monster X8S, sitting right now in my Kagama that I'm no longer using. I'm going to be switching out the system in that truck. So I was kind of like, hey, when I was buying this thing, I thought, well, you know what? Hey, I'm going to want more power. I've already got that ESC. Let's get a big motor. So I ordered it. And since then, I have watched a few more videos of the Super Lasernut running the stock electronics. And it actually, guys, doesn't look all that bad. So again, this, guys, is all just me leading up to when I actually get to run the buggy itself. I'm just kind of basing it on what I know and other trucks that I drive and this kind of power system. So obviously, guys, the first run will be stock. We'll use the stock transmitter, the DX3. Now, the one thing that's funny with this, I guess I'm kind of jumping the gun here a little bit, is that even though this is a nice DX3, they are running the 315 receiver, which means no gyro at all. So there's no AVC, none of that stuff going on, which I thought was really weird for a car like this that they didn't include AVC, just because ever since now that I've been driving the RC8X and that system, the RadioLink system, I've gotten used to just having a little bit of gyro. Very minimal, maybe usually guys set it around like 30%, but it does really help. I find when you're kind of, let's say, coming out of a corner and you mash on it and you just kind of, you know, almost loosen your hand on the wheel a little bit and you let the gyro do the work for you, you can launch these things. So again, I'm kind of shocked that it didn't come with this. I probably, by the time I run this, the next time, the second time, I will have, at that point, guys, dropped in a RadioLink receiver, so I can be running my RC8X. Like I mentioned, the S905 steering servo, 555 ounces of torque, 7.2 volts. What's really cool is that as you're looking at this right now, guys, this is a lot of 1/8 scale truggy going on. And these tires are not necessarily as big as I thought, as well as they also don't weigh much. So the neat thing is, I had to back up the camera a bit for this. These tires are not as big as you initially think they're going to be for being a 1/6 scale. This right here is one of my Method RC Terraforms 1/8 scale belted tire. And you can see when I put them beside each other, guys, they're pretty much almost the same height, if not maybe just a smidgen smaller. Obviously they're wider. But what's nice about that, because I've already tried, these do mount up no problem. And there's clearance between the cage down here, up there, all that good stuff. So if you did decide that you wanted to run a different tire, you're going to be good to go. As well as if you are running a bigger tire, maybe it's going to weigh a little bit more. This 905, this 555 ounces of torque is not going to have a problem. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you guys was this kind of crazy sort of setup they've got going on with the steering servo and the bell cranks. So basically what's happening here is that you have the S905, which is a larger scale servo, so it's taller, and your bell cranks are still those of a 1/8 scale. So because of that, servo's higher, bell cranks are still down lower. You have kind of like this crazy bend, and you can see on the steering servo right here how they've kind of the arm comes out, and there's a pretty good chunk here, guys. Probably maybe like, I don't know, 1/3 of an inch where it goes down and then connects to the arm, then goes out to the bell cranks. And there's still a pretty good angle going on here. I don't see that being a big deal. I just thought I'd kind of point that out to you guys. Now, something else I want to go over is the battery tray setup. So unlike your Armas and many other cars that just use the one single sort of fat tray, the Super Lasernut is using 2 individual trays. And I have got a set of Gens Ace 3S 7000 milliamp 60Cs on the way to me right now. Now, unfortunately, they're not here yet. So I don't know what I'm going to use right now to run this. It's going to be a 6S. It'll probably be one of my big guys, one of those 6800 milliamp packs. And what I'm just going to do is kind of just set it in there like that, as long as it clears, and kind of strap it down. So it's not going to be kind of sitting in the cradle or anything like that, but at least it will get me running. I do have these little guys. I often run these in my 1/8 scale buggy. They're a 4000 milliamp pack, 95C discharge rate 6S pack. So that would work well, because I think, guys, I did already try, they do fit. So if I wanted to, I could get away with putting 2 of these in and then running parallel, and I would end up having 8000 milliamps. That would be cool too, but then it would require some wiring or an adapter, and I don't feel like dealing with that. So we'll probably just first use that big pack, figure out a way to strap it in and run it. Now, coming around, guys, to the front, you've got nice big long travel shocks, aluminum bodies, aluminum caps. They do feel really good. I didn't address that when I first had the Super Lasernut sitting on the bench, but the suspension does feel, guys, very, very good. It's not too soft. It's not too stiff. So I think it's going to be kind of a good overall balance to the truck, whether you're ripping it around and you need to use that suspension, or you're taking, let's say, some jumps and you want to have things to be a little bit stiffer. I think it's going to work out. You've got 5mm shock towers. You've got your sway bars, like I've already mentioned, guys, attached down here. You do have aluminum steering knuckles. Now, they do look to be kind of a cheaper, maybe cast or something like that aluminum. What is very nice, and I mentioned this, guys, earlier on, is Vidavon is releasing a lot of parts for the Super Lasernut. And I'm talking about that, guys, right now, and I'm kind of stressing that because this is not a super popular car right now. You don't see it everywhere. It's not like, you know, an Arma Creighton or something like that that's everywhere. So the fact that Vidavon is still spending time and manufacturing parts for this is awesome. So definitely got to give them a thanks for doing that, guys, because my original Lasernut, I wanted to do kind of a crazy build on. I wanted to have fun with it. I wanted to get some cool parts. I ended up getting rid of that Lasernut just because it was a deal that came my way. Somebody, I think it was a trade, I don't remember exactly. And I always thought I was going to get another one, and then I just never did. So when the 1/6 scale Super Lasernut, guys, was coming out, I knew that I wanted it, but I also knew kind of what my plans are for it, that I wanted to have some fun. I wanted to spend a little bit of money on it and just, you know, dress it up, clean it up a little bit. A few more things while we're in the front of the buggy is that you have, obviously, guys, this lower bumper down here that attaches to the chassis and everything. But this right here, guys, is only on the cage itself. So if you were to try to pick it up from here, you're basically going to put a lot of stress on the Lex end and all that. So I would recommend not picking it up from there. What is nice is that Losi actually added a bend to their body pins. I know that's kind of minor, but it's always such a pain when you actually have to pull one of these things out. You usually end up kind of tearing this thing and you tear it right off. So it's nice that they included those. And yes, guys, they are tethered, so you don't have to worry about losing your body pins when you're out and about and you got to pull this thing off. Now, swinging around to the back. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about in the front was the front shock tower is 5mm thick. However, in the back, the rear is only 4mm thick, and I think that's sort of a bit of a weird thing that they chose to do there. Between, obviously, guys, having the shocks mounted to the shock tower, but also having this spare tire mount, which also connects into the rear shock tower. I think that's a bit odd. Coming off of, let's say, a bad landing or even just a bad spin, you lose control, whatever. At times, this spare tire is going to take some force. It's going to take some grunt. And I just, again, guys, I think it's kind of weird how this shock tower isn't thicker. Now, there's a lot of mounting points, guys, from right down here up into the shock tower to up into the top, guys, where the actual hinges are for the body, which, again, the way this is going to throw it around, you could put force on this that would come back into the spare tire mount. So we'll see. Either way, though, guys, hopefully it holds up. It's not like I want it to fail or anything like that. All right, guys, there you have it, the Super Lasernut. This was a bit of a quick unboxing. I didn't want to kind of go over a lot of the same features that we've been seeing on every other car for the last, like, 15, 20 years. Because really, the thing with this truck, the main wow factor, guys, is obviously going to be the cage, and it's the body, because it does look killer. Don't get me wrong, guys, the rims look amazing. The wheel nut is amazing. Also, I love seeing that color. And again, if I'm going to change up, guys, anything on this truck to, let's say, go to a different set of wheels and tires, I'm definitely going to want something that's kind of more like this color. But at the same time, you know what, guys, I also don't want to put big, heavier tires and change it all up because I don't want to add that stress. You can probably tell that there's a little bit of me that's kind of worried, just because there seems to be a big difference from the Losi brand cars to their full-on kind of TLR versions, where they're just so much more, the diffs are so much better and all the little parts are just a better, higher quality. That was one of the things that, again, when I was buying this, I was sort of worried about. I know from some of my Losi trucks in the past, my LST2 XLE, or so, I can't remember what that thing was called. I had issues with the diffs, definitely had to pull them and kind of reshim them and just pretty much completely rebuild them. So hopefully that's not going to be the case. If it is the case, I am hoping that because this shares so much with the race platforms and stuff like that, that there will be gears and stuff like that available to me. I don't want to sound like the Debbie Downer or anything like that, guys. I haven't even drove it yet, but you can't help but think that way. When you, unfortunately, you get out with, you know, these brands and you start to have kind of the same issues from one car to the next, it does make you just kind of go, okay, hopefully with this one, we don't have that problem. But if we do, hey, I'm, you know, I don't want to say I'm ready for it, but at least I know it's coming. But overall, guys, this thing is killer. It looks absolutely amazing, and I am excited to get it out and start running it, see what the stock electronics are like in this. What a 2050 kV motor in an 18.5-pound RC car, how it will run, how it will behave. And if need be, guys, we've got bigger electronics, we've got bigger motors. We even have a bigger I think it's 2050 or 2060 kV motor, but just a bigger can, guys, like an overall better, torqueier can that we could also drop into it. So again, if we wanted to go up a little bit in the opinion, we can. But guys, that's it. Team Losi, Super Lasernut, looking absolutely killer. Stay tuned, because we're going to get out, guys. We're going to start running this thing. We're going to start having fun with it. Now, one quick thing, though, I do want to talk about before I end this video is, what did I buy it for? Now, that might seem kind of obvious. Hey, it's an RC car. We wanted to buy an RC car. But Obviously, a lot of the driving that I do is usually jumps, big jumps, ripping it around and stuff like that. And that's not what this thing's for. It's obviously, guys, a rock bouncer, but we are going to still be jumping it. We're still going to be having fun with it. We're going to take it everywhere we can, see what this thing is capable of doing, as well as, guys, like I mentioned, I want to dress it up a little bit. I want to clean it up. I want to get a little bit of shine to this truck, a little bit of bling, if you will, just to give it kind of the look that I was hoping for, that I wanted to do with my original Lasernut. So guys, that's it though. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. Please subscribe, and yep, enjoy the pics.